I don't know if you guys knew this, but I used to be in a band as well at my church, my former church. And how I made the band was that I was the only one with a guitar. And so they needed the guitar, so I was in the band. You too? Okay, no, don't try to say we're the same. Get out of here. Because here's one thing I found out about this church. You can't just join the praise team. You're like, you know what? I want to worship God. Can I come on the stage and get a mic? There's an audition process. And I didn't know because I didn't ask, I didn't apply. I just overheard this. And you submit, it's not a tape, but like an audition recording, and they listen to it, probably judge it, take notes, talk about it, and then they'll let you know whether or not you made the squad. So I have not applied for this church, but I just sing as loud as I can on the side. I also used to play basketball at my previous church. And then I came to this church. And there are people at this church that have played in college and beyond, men and women. I don't know if they have an audition process for playing basketball, but all I know is they invited me one time, and I played my hardest, and no one's called me back. But I know they're playing. I can smell it. I'm like, I know you guys are playing basketball. I know it's happening. I mean, you could have told me it was an audition. I would have worn my real Nikes, not my walk on the street Nikes. But I don't know, you ever feel like, you thought you were good, and then you go into a different context and you're like, ooh, everyone was good. Like, you walk into the room and you're like, oh, I was the best where I came from, but here, everyone was the best where they came from. And it's weird feeling average. Like, I was the fastest. Like, no one could chase me. It's weird looking at the back of someone's head as I'm running. I've never felt this before. I'm used to being the smartest person in the room. I don't struggle. Whoa, I'm going to these classes or in this workplace, and I'm like trying to understand, and I'm feeling embarrassed. Everyone else seems to know. I'm embarrassed. I got to go ask ChatGPT later in the bathroom. What does this mean? Tell me in simple words, right? Like you ever feel like you don't measure up to the talent around you? You ever wish like, God, why did you just give me a little bit more talent? Like just a little bit more, like a lot more. Well, I've got good news for you, because there's a story in the Bible that talks about increasing your talents. If we turn to Matthew 25, it's called the parable of the bags of gold. Again, and just Jesus talking. This is before he knows he's gonna go on the cross. So he's talking to his disciples and he's teaching them like, hey, I really want you guys to understand what's gonna happen to me. He's trying to explain to them he's gonna go and die on the cross. And he's gonna be going away for a while and what he wants them to do. So he said, again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Who do you think you are in this story? I'm just curious. Show me with your fingers. Turn to your neighbor. You're the 1 bag, you're the 2 bag, you're the 5 bag. Who are you? I'm the 2 bag. That was so cute, Corey. He's like, anyone here, just really quickly, if you want to, raise your hand if you're like, I'm the 1 bag. Raise your hand if you're like, I'm the 2 bag. Raise your hand if you're like, I'm the 5 bag. Oh, okay. And those of you that didn't raise your hands, I don't know what you're thinking. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm the 10 bag. I don't know. Maybe you're thinking. To each he gave according to his ability, then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrust me 2 bags of gold, and see, I have gained 2 more. His master replied the exact same words that he said to the person that multiplied the 5 bags. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who received 1 bag of gold came. Now, this is the part of the story where all of a sudden you thought it was a group project, and then you're like, oh, wait, we're all individually sharing what we did here. What did you do? What did I do? And you got to write your name on it. And you're like, oh, no. Oh, no. He says, Master, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, gathering where you've not scattered seed. I know you take from places that you have no business taking from. So I was afraid. I didn't want to mess with your money. I didn't want to lose your money. And so I went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here it is, exactly what belongs to you. And his master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. Now, there's some words in here that might make you feel uncomfortable or make me feel a little bit like, ooh, like master. But you get your masters to pay off your MasterCard. That word is still around. There's Toastmasters. You go to the golf classic and it's called the Masters. That word is still kind of around. But wicked is kind of like this word where it's like wicked. It sounds so judgmental and it doesn't sound like a loving Jesus to call somebody wicked, especially for, honestly, doing what exactly I would have done. Like, if you're a harsh person, like, I don't want to deal with the drama. I don't want the blowback. It makes sense. I'm going to take your stuff, put it in the vault, so when you come back, you get exactly what you gave me. Here it is. Get off my back. Why is this servant being called wicked and lazy? His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant, so you knew that I harvest where I don't sow, and I gather where I haven't scattered seed. Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I return, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. And it gets worse. Wait, aren't we supposed to take from the rich, take it from those billionaires, and give it to those who don't have? But he says, no, take it from this person with 1 and give it to the one who has 10. That's what Jesus is sharing in this story. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. Bernie Sanders is just getting angry right now. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Whoa. When I was a kid and I read this story, I was just so confused because I'm like, I would have done exactly what the person would. I mean, if you got 5, you got chances to miss. I got 5 bags of gold. I tried this. It didn't work out. I still got 4 bags of gold. You got 1 bag of gold. You got 1 bag of gold. If that gold is gone, you done. So, of course, the person with 5 bags, they've got more resources. They've got more opportunities. They've got more connections. Of course, they feel the freedom to go out there and risk and to invest. But me, I've only got 1. I've got to protect this. I can't lose this. But anyone that's played sports or anything, like when you're playing not to lose, what usually happens? You lose. You lose. But it's not his fault. It's the master's fault. He's a harsh man. And he's hard, and he takes from people that he has no business taking from to line his own pockets. He's greedy. So I don't want to mess with him. I don't want to disappoint him. So I'm going to give him exactly what he gave to me. But why in this story does Jesus refer to that servant? Oops, it's a slip. I'm a teacher. All right? These students are not my servants. I serve them. Why does Jesus reply that this servant is wicked and lazy? What happens when you bury something in the ground? Like gold, not plants. If you bury a seed in the ground, what do? You tend to it. You look after it. You water it. When you bury gold in the ground, what do? You walk away and you never have to think about it again. This servant had no interest in the business of his master. He had no concern, no care. Maybe we can speculate, and I'm speculating, too preoccupied with his own business. I ain't got time to worry about your stuff. I got my own things to attend to. Now, this happens to me even as a teacher. When I go to school, I get all these kids in the classroom. I'm a math teacher. I've got things. There's tests. There's standards. I've got to teach them all these things. And when I show up, I have what we call an agenda. But you know who has an agenda? Every single student that walks in that door. Whatever happened on TikTok that night, they want to talk about it. They want to bring it up. They want to talk about all the trends. Mr. O, do you know? I know I don't know that. Can you do this? No, I can't do that dance. Right? They have their own agendas. Now, but here's what I miss. When I'm trying to do my job, sometimes I miss what God is trying to do. Because maybe today, it's not about the algorithm. Maybe today it's God's like, notice that one student. He's usually talking and disrupting class a lot. But today he's quiet and his head's down. Something's going on. Today, the assignment is check in with him. But when I'm so focused on my job, I miss out on what God is trying to do. This servant, he had no space or time for what God was trying to do. It's like, I've got to handle my business. Your stuff, I'll put it in the ground. Because maybe when you go on your long journey, maybe you'll come back, maybe you won't. But if you do, it's insurance. Here you go. But until you come back, I'm not going to give it another thought. You know, there are times where sometimes when you go to work, just like this servant buried the talent into the ground, you bury your own talents at work. You bury yourself in the ground. I hide myself at work. I go to work, and I used to do this, and the people, they meet Work Joe, and Work Joe just keeps his head down and does his job. And then sometimes, it's happened in the past, like where people will meet me outside of work, and they'll be like, you're different. You talk. You're funny. And at work, I'm like, you will never know. And I'm cool, but you'll never know. I'm just going to do my job and then leave right when it's time. Like, we hide ourselves at work. We bury ourselves. But maybe God put you in your workplace, not for the job, not for the 401k, because he wants you. There are people in there that need to receive something from him, that need to know, need an encouraging word. Maybe it's not to sit down and go through the whole entire explanation of the scriptures, but maybe it's just an encouraging word to show that you care. Maybe that's why you're there, not just to get that check. This servant also had a wrong view of the master. Now, we assume that the servant was seeing things accurately, that this master was harsh. This master was an oppressor. This master was capitalizing off of, slave labor and taking everything for himself. Yes, this servant, but what if the servant was wrong? What if the master wasn't a harsh master? Now, you know who thinks everyone's a liar? Liars. Because they lie, so they're like, everyone lies. You know who thinks everyone is greedy? Greedy people. Oh, if they gave, there's a reason why they gave. There's an ulterior motive. You and I don't know it. It's a tax write-off or something. You don't know. But no one just gives. Everyone's in it for something. What you say about other people, what you say about God, actually reveals more about you and your heart. This servant saying, you're a harsh master. You take from people and you... But what do we see in this story? The master entrusts his wealth to them. Now, as a steward, it doesn't belong to you, but you're in charge of it. And you also get to benefit from it. He gave his wealth to them. He didn't take wealth from them. So he entrusts his wealth to them. Have you ever entrusted a large sum of money to somebody? I'm looking to see who's nodding their head because I'm going to talk to you after service. It's like, only 3 people nodded their head. But, if I entrusted a large sum of money to people, this is how I'm going to do it. It's going to come with, very specific instructions, right? And it's going to come with, weekly check-ins, quarterly reports. I want to see charts, what's happening with this money. But what does this master do? This master entrusts them with the money and leaves on a long journey. Does not really give them specific step-by-step directions on what to do. Now, whose fault is that? It's not the servant's fault. You didn't tell me what to do. You gave me all this money. What am I supposed to do with this money? God, you gave me all this talent. What am I supposed to do with this talent? How many of you ever just asked, God, tell me what to do, God? I'm lost. I don't know. Should I date this person or not? Should I break up with that person? Should I apply for this job? Should I move to this city? Should I eat this cereal? God, I don't know. Tell me, God, and I will not move until you tell me. It's getting soggy, Lord. We want God to give us step-by-step directions, like a GPS. Tell me, go straight, go left, go right, go left, go right, go left, go left. You can't just start tuning out the waves, right? You got to listen. We want that. But until someone actually tries to tell you what to do, hey, you need to, don't tell me what to do. Get off my back. Don't treat me like a child. We want the freedom, but we don't want the responsibility. But God wants to give you the freedom and the responsibility because he wants you to mature and to grow. This servant didn't want the responsibility, didn't want the freedom. And I love how in this story, it seems like everyone just doubled it. You got 2, now it's 4. You got 5, now it's 10. You got 50, now it's 100. But it doesn't tell us anything of what they did or how they doubled it. But it does give us clues onto who they were. If you look at the servants, I almost said students again, my goodness. If you look at the servants who the master says were good and faithful, here's a clue right here. It says at once. It says at once they went to work and put the bags of gold to work. There was something about these servants that were good and faithful that they weren't passive, but they were active and they were looking for opportunities, right? It's not just sitting there like, God, you need to open a door. And not only do you need to open a door, but there needs to be a sign that says this one. And then someone needs to walk out of that door and grab me and pull me through saying this one. Then I will know that it's you, Lord, because I'm just your humble servant. That's what we want. But what happens, it says that they went at once and they were looking for opportunities. What allowed them to go at once? Because I'm naturally, or I feel like in the past, I've been more of a deliberator. Like, anyone ever played that game called Minesweeper? You like, there's a whole bunch of boxes and you click on one. It might be a bomb or it might not. And you got to clear the mines. Like, that was my favorite game. Because when I look at the world, I see danger. Like, you can't just run. You can't just do this. You can't just date that person. You can't just take, no. You gotta uncover all the dangers first. And once you uncover all the dangers, now you know the safe places to go so you can get to the other side. But what allowed them to go at once? You know, on any good team, there is a high level of trust. Like, I trust you, you trust me. I know where you're gonna be, so I don't overcompensate and try to do too much. I'm gonna take care of my assignment because I know where you're gonna be. I trust you, you trust me. I can pass the ball before you even move because I know you're gonna be at that. I can depend on you. When you don't trust, this is what happens. Oh, so Bob, I know you said send the email by Thursday, but when you said send the email, did you want it with by 9 a.m. or 10:30 p.m.? Or like I know you, like, there's so many questions that you need to make sure are clear and clarified before we proceed because there's just a lack of trust. What allowed these servants to move so quickly was not only were they entrusted by the master, but they also trusted the master. Trust allowed them. And here's the trust. You didn't give this money to make me fail. You gave this money and these resources because you want me to succeed. Do you trust that God is setting you up to succeed? Or do you feel like he's setting you up to fail? That trust allowed them to move forward without fearing the risk of losing it all. Now, they got talent, but talent needs work. Talent needs work. Talent will take you this far, and then it won't take you an inch further until you start to work. Talent is like, it's like a big old slab of granite, but then the work is to start chiseling away at it and smoothing it and making it into a work of art. No matter what talent you have, you've got to put the work into it. That's what makes you good and faithful. The wicked, they only see where the dangers are. But the faithful, they see dangers, but they also see opportunity. You know, when I was a kid growing up, I never felt poor. Like, I didn't know. We always had a place to sleep, thank God, food to eat. We were happy. Like, we were fine. But I was the oldest of 6 kids, and we all slept in one room, 3 bunk beds. So it was like summer school. It was like summer camp, just for 10, 11 years. Just 6 kids in one room, right? And we'd make it fun. You know, we'd change bunks, you know. Like, hey, I want a different view. Move over here on that side. Like, hey, guys, did you guys notice this corner? Oh, wow. So it was fine. I love my childhood. So grateful, so thankful. But one day I got it stuck in my head, like, maybe we're secretly rich. Like, maybe my parents are like, can't let Joe grow up spoiled. Like, no. He ain't going to be one of them spoiled kids. So we're going to act like we don't have this. And then one day it's just going to be like, ta-da, here you go. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to wait. I'm going to ask my dad. So I went up to him. I was around 11 years old. And I was like, Dad, are we like secretly rich? Like, behind the scenes, you've been investing and like you inherited tons of money from like grandpa and it's just in a bank account in Korea, right? But like when I'm like 18, you're going to give it all to me? And he just looked at me. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He just laughed. And so I was like, okay, that means we're not, all right? So I was like, back to the bunk beds. Let's go, guys. Summer camp is still on. And so I was like, that's okay. That's fine. But, when I got married, I started thinking like, you know what? I want to learn about like investing. Like I'm married now. I want to be more responsible. I want to like invest, in the future when we have kids and like all this money stuff. And so I actually watched this on Netflix. They used to have DVDs, right? No streaming back then. They had DVDs. And so there was this DVD I saw and it said technology, entertainment, design. I was like, that sounds interesting. So I rented that one. Took like 3-4 days to come. I pop it in. And then one of the speakers is talking about like EVs, electronic vehicles, how they're going to change the world. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So after watching that, I started researching more about electric vehicles. And this was like in 2010. And there was one company that popped up, and it was called Tesla. And I was like, oh, this company looks interesting. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, those cars look kind of cool. I like the shape, And then I was like, you know what? I wonder if you could invest in this company. And so I looked it up, and around that time, it was 2010 or 2011, the price shares, it was like $14-15. And so I was like, oh, I have some money. I actually have some monies set aside that I can invest into this. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I went online, and I started like, trying to open up a brokerage account. And after like 5 minutes, like I was like, oh, this is harder than I thought. Like this form, and now forget it. Yeah. Oh, some of you thought I was rich, and you're all about me like, let's go, Joe. Let's go. I'm going to hit you up after service. Because I saw it wasn't like oh, I'm sorry for you. It's like oh, I'm sorry for me. Like, oh. It's like, there's a difference right there. You know what I'm saying? It's like a too bad for you, but it was like a too bad for us. It's all good. It's okay. I know. I don't think I didn't do that. And because I like to, torture myself, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, I saw a Tesla car like on the street or something. I was like, Tesla, they did it. They made it. And so I went home and I said, let me look. And I put it in what the price share was. And I was like, oh, it's more than $15. And then I was like, because I love pain, I'm going to calculate what I would have invested back then at $15 a share, and then whatever price, it was a couple $100 share, and let's see, and it came out to like $1.4 million. Yeah. That one was more of a, ooh, sucks for you. Not sucks for me. That was like, that sucks to be you. It's like, man, no, trust me. I felt, and my wife knows, there'll be times I sleep in at night and be like, 1.4 million. It's like, are you talking about Tesla again? It's like, babe, we could have had it all. Oh, man. But I was driving in the car one day, many years later, and they started talking about in the news about how there was this virus traveling around the globe. And things were starting to shut down. And we're going to school. And at school, my wife knew someone who was overseeing like the medical Kaiser planning things. And she had told my wife, hey, we're thinking we're going to shut the schools down. So we knew this before our principal even knew the schools were going to shut down. And so I was like, wait. This was like February. And so I was like, wait. Schools are going to have to shut down? If schools are going to shut down, like economies are going to shut down. If economies shut down, stock market's going to shut down. People are going to panic. It's going to crash. And I remember the next day, a couple days, listening to the radio, and they're like, stock markets are panicking. Everyone's selling out right now. Stocks are crashing. And I was driving in the car, and I was like, burn, baby, burn. Drive it to the ground, baby. And my friends who had invested faithfully for 10, 15 years were like, no, my portfolio. And I was like, go down, because I saw an opportunity. People saw danger and crisis, and they were afraid. And I saw discount. I'm Asian. I love a discount. I was like, let's get this on discount, baby. So the first stock I went back to was Tesla. And I saw it dropping $100, $200. And I said, go, baby, go. And I bought some. And after I bought some, I wanted to go up, but it kept going down. So I bought a little more. And I spent all the money I could buying as much as I could. And it went to the ground. And then what happened after that? It bounced back up. Now everyone hates Tesla now, I know. This story was much better like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Now everyone's like, oh, you, yeah, okay, don't touch me. But I saw the opportunity when other people only saw danger. See, here's something that every servant did that was called good and faithful. They were able to multiply what they had. What are you multiplying? What allowed them to multiply? They weren't afraid to lose it. They weren't afraid to lose what they had been trusted with. But what are you multiplying? Not just in their finances. Are you multiplying peace in your relationships? When you go to work, does your workplace get better? On your team, do people feel more encouraged because you're on that team? When everyone's like hopeless, this game's over, are you still able to infuse that belief like, hey, we're gonna do our best? Because even if we don't win this game, we're gonna play like we're winners, right? Are you able to, when you leave your workplace, people should say like, it's been different ever since you left. They should feel your absence because they felt your presence. The good and faithful servants, they went at once. They trusted and they were entrusted. They saw opportunities and they multiplied. And here's what I love. It doesn't tell you how they did it. It just tells you the type of people that they were. But you know what? God doesn't need money. I don't even think money's important to God. But he uses money because money reveals what's important to us so that God can see who he can entrust with what's really important to him. So I used to think, oh, I was faithful with little, I'll be faithful with much. So if I'm faithful with $100, then God will give me 1,000. Now I'm faithful with 1,000, he'll give me 10,000. If I'm faithful with 10,000, let's just go to 1,000,000. Because I'm faithful with little, he'll give me much. But there's a parallel parable here in Luke where it talks about, Jesus shares another story. A man of noble birth went to a distant country where he's going to be appointed king and then return. He called 10 of his servants and gave them 10 minas, put this money to work. Skipping down, it says, he was made king and returned home. He sent for his servants who had given them money in order to find out what they had gained from it. The first one came and said, sir, your 1 mina has earned 10 more. Well done, my good servant, his master replied. Because you've been trustworthy in a very small matter, take charge of 10 cities. God, I don't think he cares about money. But he uses money to see who he can trust with what he actually cares about. You multiplied it to 10 minas. Now you're overseeing 10 cities. What does that mean? I can trust you with my money. But I really need to trust you with my kids. What does God really care about? People. These cities represent people. God is saying, can I trust you? And if I could trust you with money, if you can't be bought or sold, you don't embezzle, you can give an account and you can multiply it. Money is the training tool. If I can trust you with money, I can trust you with people. Some of you, you've been growing your accounts. Man, you might not even realize what you are actually developing is the skills to be trusted with people. $1 million, 1 million people. The ability to be trusted with people. When I finally did open up a Roth IRA investing thing, I was like, you know what? I'm going to automatically debit every month. So I don't even need to look at it. So every month they took out X amount. And then I would check like every 2 or 3 months. And it was always like the same exact amount that I put into it. And then when you look at the chart, it looked like steps. Like it's always here. Then I made a deposit. And now it's here for another month. Made a deposit. I was like, man, when is this investing thing going to kick in? Like, shouldn't you put your money in? At least maybe sometimes it goes down too and then it goes up. Like, what's going on? And then I realized that yes, I had created an account. And yes, I had deposited money. But I hadn't put it to work. I hadn't actually picked any stocks. It was just sitting in the account. And 1 year passed. And when I finally said, why is this exactly what I put into it to the cent? I realized I hadn't actually invested it. And that's just money. But if I come to the end of my life and God looks at me and says, give me an account for your life. And I say, God, all the talent and gifts and abilities you've given me are exactly the same that you deposited in me as they are today as I stand before you. That's the tragedy. You know, maybe I don't have the talent of singing that'll take me around the world like these guys. But you know what? I got enough talent to sing around this block. Like maybe I can't play basketball with Corey. I can play with somebody else in this church. Here's the thing. You don't know whether you got 1 talent, 5 talents, 2 talents, 10 talents. You don't know what you have. You don't know what God put inside of you. All you're called to do is to be faithful with it and to develop it. Let me tell you this. By the time when I come to the end of my life, here's what I want to do. I want to be like, God, I became the person that you imagined when you made me. That's what I want to be. And if we could see how God sees us, you actually wouldn't want to be anyone else. You know, there are times in my life I was more insecure and I was like, oh dang, I'm not as good looking as that person. I'm not as smart as that person. I'm not as rich as that person. I'm not as talented as that person. But if you could see yourself the way God does, you wouldn't want anyone else's life. Now, if we're honest, there's some people who are like, I want your career. I want the type of relationship you have. I want the type of kid. I want your dog, right? But if you could actually see yourself the way God sees you, you're like, there's no one else I want to be except who you want me to be, God. The talents and gifts and abilities you put inside me, God, help me to be faithful to develop them so I can reflect who you are to this world. God, and when I stand before God, I want him to say, I can trust you. That's what I want. I want God to say, I can trust you. I can trust you with my children. I can trust you with money and my children. Here's the invitation for this week. Maybe you feel like you're a 1-talent person. Start by taking a little risk. And maybe that might even look something as like, hey, I go to my favorite restaurant and I got my favorite meal. It never disappoints me. It always hits the spot. But today, I'm going to risk disappointment and I'm going to choose something different. And maybe I'm going to regret it, but that's okay because what I'm actually doing is starting to build that tolerance of risking to look for an opportunity. Or maybe you're already someone that takes risks and other people look at you and they're like, oh, you take risks, but you know inside, oh, but there's more. Then maybe for you, you need to start taking a bigger risk. Pray, talk with your friends and family. What's a bigger risk I can take? Maybe it's an emotional risk. Maybe it's sharing something with somebody. Maybe it's trying out for something. Maybe it's putting yourself out there in dating, whatever it is. Maybe it's a financial investment, starting to save. Now, maybe you're someone that's already comfortable taking big risks. Like man, you are taking risks. Then for you, taking better risks. There's so many opportunities that you see. Choosing which ones you're going to go after, which ones you're going to double down into. Takes prayer, takes community. So I invite you, little risk, bigger risk, better risk. Let someone know, hey, this week, can we text or meet for coffee? And I want to share with you the risks that I'm going to start doing, and you share with me. And can we check in every week or every month just for an accountability? Because I want to give an account. I want to practice giving an account because when Jesus comes, I'm going to give an account. I'm going to have to count, and I'm going to have to share what I've been doing. So can I practice that with you?